without that Lee Sin, it has been core to their success in recent series.
Yeah, you were saying before, like the jungle potency of AL, kind of the structure here, and couldn't agree more when the smarts of Weibo Gaming take it away. We get a LeBlanc and a Xayah, though, so sitting at the bottom lane while, hey, Nymira, I know you and your brother were talking about this on an LDL stream,
yes.
But like Viego is just LPL style, man.
Yeah, so it was one of these things where, you know, so me and my brother, we talk about League pretty much all the time, and sometimes he just walks into my room and just asks me a question about League, and he's just like, look, Alex, if you were going to say the LPL was one champion, what would it be? And I was like, look, it's like 7 AM, why are you walking into my room? What is this? Why are you here? But eventually, we kind of reached this opinion of like, honestly, Viego is up there. Viego's just this champion which just keeps coming back. It allows you to play these very messy skirmishes. And then you come back into this draft as well. You see the Lee Sin locked in. You respond with the Syndra and say, okay, we have a strong mid-jump locked in as well. Basically, all eyes are on the mid-jungle CV2. Lee Sin, LeBlanc are the ones which are likely going to be jumping forward as soon as like a Q lands from Lee Sin or a chain walks in as well. The Syndra is very much under threat. But you look at the Viego and the Syndra, if you ever overstep into them, the amount of damage that comes up is incredible. So already, no room for mistakes in this mid-jungle CV2.
And I love it. Again, from both teams, it's the aggression. Like, Weibo can be one of our most aggressive teams in games as well. We've got to remember that if we're looking at game duration, Weibo are top 3 at the moment. 31 minutes and 26 is their average. But for AL, when they win games as well, I think off the back of Xiaohao, the games could really elevate quickly too. So we'll keep an eye out for the conditions you talked about where mid-jungle is going to be eyes on, but around the side lanes, the curiosity now strikes because we've lost the Rakan on the side, lost some of that front line for AL to play with as well. And this is a pick in 13.4 that people in solo queue are calling OP. Engaged supports are coming back in a big way, and I can't believe I'm thankful for it. As one of Sword Art's favorite when he was on Suning in 2020 Worlds Finals.
No, in fact, it's not. Yeah, it's his famous Renekton. Yeah.
It's a Renekton support. Been there, but hey, look, could be an opportunity as they lead support with counter pick.
Yeah, so, I mean, I actually wouldn't have minded that Leona being locked in. Leona has historically been a decent answer into the Xayah, which we've not talked about yet. Xayah's going to come out to priority since the item changes. Navori's second being a very powerful item for that champion. And Leona can kind of at least trade ult for ult. Against the Nautilus now, kind of wondering what will... You know, we get a Quinn game. I love this champion. Okay, all right, you know,
and
screw the rest of the stuff. Screw the rest of the stuff.
Quinn!
So, Quinn is a champion. So when I play top lane, I play Quinn. Quinn, we really don't get to see that much of anymore, but has been historically a great pick into the Renekton. In regards to the builds that we see out of this champion, actually very versatile. We still see some kind of like Blade of the Ruin King now that's been buffed up as well. Pretty good versus top side of the map champions like the Viego and the Renekton. This changes things so much now in this game. We do see that Leona locked in on that 5th pick. We already talked about how that works against that Xayah. But when you have a Quinn in that top side versus the Renekton, that is always going to be a pushing matchup. But the first time the Quinn dies, if Quinn ever dies in a stupid position before level 6 because you don't run teleport, your resets get very messed up and you fall behind the pace of the game very quickly. AL, they don't have a mid laner that can get towards top side very quickly. They don't have a Ryze or a Galio or something like LeBlanc themselves. A lot of
pick, and that just defines how Weibo Gaming want to play once again towards the Shy as we get into this series with a huge return for me in memories. It's deja vu for Weibo Gaming's top laner.
And this is the first Quinn of the year. We have not seen this anywhere else in the world. Looking at the build coming through, you sometimes see something like the Ignite for very early kill pressure, level 1. Level 2 for Quinn, actually a very big point as well. You start with your E for the Vault, allows you to either disengage from champions, but also apply your Harrier mark to them. But taking the cleanse into the Renekton and the Viego makes an awful lot of sense. A lot of CC across the board from AL. You can't really play in towards mid and late game without that summon spell. Also going for the Fleet Footwork, I'm wondering if we would see, you can see something like kind of more lethality-based first strike builds, but typically you are seeing press the attack or lethal tempo for real ability to punish the lane. Instead, it's actually the Fleet Footwork to kind of keep a little bit more sustained. And the Cull Start largely means you're going to go towards the Cut Down rune as well for just permanent extra damage buff.
And further to what you're talking about, you know, there's a lot of room for error in this lane. You know, it's a hard lane as well. If you mess up as a Queen, it could easily turn. Shy, we're looking towards that early laning phase you talked about. He's waiting for ZDC to come in.
Well, This is the thing. Like, you're talking about, oh, for the Shy, laning fights, by the way, you just sit in that first bush as a ranged top laner and you just punish. Now, having that ward in the first bush is actually pretty big for ZDZ because it means that the Shy can't drop minion aggro, just dip into the bush, take an auto, and then kind of dip back into kind of like disengage the minion aggro. So what this means, you are going to be kind of building a slow crash in for the Quinn to see how much like early harass you are going to get off. ZDZ would like to trim this wave down as much as possible just to make sure there isn't the possibility of the Lee Sin kind of coming in and making things very awkward.
I like as well that he's taking Quinn. Like, again, you know, we haven't seen Quinn for a while, but once you get towards that behind enemy lines, the ability to roam around is going to be exciting. As you said, mid can't influence from AL. Nymira, I got caught up a little bit in the pick. I'm not going to lie, it's an exciting day. It's a good trade mid from Pinzi. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about how both comps operate. Let's say it's an even game, right? And we go into 20 minutes in, like nothing's really happened, which let's be honest, probably won't be the case, -1. As I wanted to ask you what the game would look like, the game state, and kind of simple win cons from each team.
So I think that Weibo have the ability to play a wider map much easier than anyone's Legend. If it gets to the point where Xayah can very safely sit in mid lane, that's where AL get a bit problematic with how they play out the game. Because it's hard to unsee Xayah if they just get to sit on their ultimate, sit kind of clearing waves. And you don't have a global mid laner that can very quickly get to skirmishes if you start playing around that Quinn as soon as these outer towers start going around. Lee Sin, Blanc, they can very much do that. So that for me is one win condition for Weibo. If AL get to stack early dragons, force Soul early on, that can be a good way to pull Weibo into fights that they would rather be playing 1-3-1 during. That's basically how I see this game.
I like that because, again, pulling them in when you have a Quinn, LeBlanc, people that want to dive in, but around your objective, not going to be so easy. That's something I'll keep track of, especially with Viego being able to set up the fight and look for resets. Because as we know with Viego, once he starts with one, it doesn't end there. As junglers so far have just coincided towards mid lane, but Xiaohao got an earlier reset off. He's about 8 CS ahead, and 2021. And funnily enough, it looks like it was either Bin, well, hang on, 2021. Yeah, is it Bin or 369 at the time?
It does say 369 right at the bottom, so I'm going to assume it's
Oh, my. Well, there you go. Hey, that's smart.
I saw 369, I'm like, I'm going to assume it's the one written on the graphic.
Yeah. Well done. Massive 5-head Nymira. Thank you for reading.
I have such reading comprehension. It's one of my best skills I bring to podcasts. But important things kind of coming up here. So one thing that we talked about, which can upset Weibo on the top side, is whether you can get a kill onto the Quinn before level 6, before they kind of get the ability to reset for free. Xiaohu gonna get stunned up, but it's in a minion wave.
Yeah, Sword Art really can't do too much, but at least roaming around to add some extra pressure is the trade was done and dusted, and now Sword Art just has to kind of walk back to lane. But you can see Crisp matching with Casa here for the time being, looking for a response if this breaks out to a 3v3, because Sword Art is just living here now.
Doesn't have any reason to leave right now. You can see that Nautilus has matched the roam. Betty being left alone in the spot side. It is going to be the on-hit Varus, so it's not going to be anything towards the poke build. I was wondering whether we get poke build. Actually, a lot of the champions on Weibo don't deal well with poke because they don't have as much sustain, but wants to have maybe the shield bow for the defensive capabilities.
Well, meanwhile, we pay our eyes to the top lane. One of the most interesting, these blinding assaults doing a good job as ZDZ is behind by about 12 CS. Big wave building up for the time being as Casa is heading up towards his topside camp. We'll see how this develops. As for AL, they're going to be swapping sides of the map, setting up with this early dragon. And Nymira, you talked about getting these neutrals down earlier. It looks like AL have a good game plan revolved around it.
Yeah, I think AL were always likely to get maybe first and second dragon down because they do have such a topside kind of focused draft. Not that you can't play around Xayah on the bot side, that's not the point. It's just that playing not around Quinn and LeBlanc in topside typically isn't what those champions want. So AL going to take that one for free. That one's going to be fine. Going to see what happens with the first couple of resets coming in from top lane as well. You can see that ZDZ manages to, of course, get to teleport back to lane. Shy doesn't have teleport as a Quinn.
He will
very
fly.
interested to see what build they're going to go towards. That's going to be important to see how that game will play out. And then also where they spike as well. Because we can see stuff like Navori Twin as well, which has been particularly annoying in the side lane because you get infinite amounts of those vaults to just kind of keep chasing people down. And at that point, Renekton just cannot play the game at kind of the 2-item spike. But we have seen a lot of Blade of the Rune King as well coming out in this champion.
Good mention. We're going to get engaged in the bottom lane as Chris might be caught up, but the root from Light's great as Chris has to burn his flash in the meantime. Xiaohu's making his way into the bottom lane as look, Pinzi is also down here. But Xiaohu's ready to make the roam. You see Karsa coming towards the lane as well. The wave not in a great state, pushing for Weibo. It's a trap, it's a trap.
It is a trap. Why are they fighting here?
It's a flash sentence because they believe that Karsa can get the kill, but it's a reset. Karsa to get out, no bueno. There we go with the Heartbreaker, Killmaker, Showmaker in the jungle. It's a double for Xiaohu.
But why are Weibo continuing to commit to that? That was such a risky play. AL, they pick up the pieces of Weibo's mistake. Yeah, the wave was in a bad position for them, but walking into that bot side skirmish, already talked about how Weibo really don't want to be on the bot side of the map if they can at all help it. But they walk up to this wave, trying to fix their bot lane's wave position. Sorta pounces, and despite dying in the initial engagement, damage is done. Resets happen, and Viego, we haven't seen it in a little while, hasn't really changed as a champion. You get one kill, things get difficult afterwards.
They definitely do. And now with 2 kills, Nightmare, I think the game state's going to be a little bit difficult, especially since we are going to be getting a Kraken out of this Viego. You know, that odd hit build, we haven't seen Viego for a while, but he supports it quite well. And it's just going to be a living nightmare for the rest of the map. Let's see if it influences that top lane that's doing so well. Is Xiaohu holding level 6 without the ulti, but still the power that it holds is now ready in the top side to try and potentially take this Herald.
Yeah, so interesting stuff actually in regards to that Kraken Slayer build. There were some changes to Viego on this patch, which means that, you know, you have like the second mini auto after you hit things with your abilities? That actually can now critically strike. And then you also have like some extra damage on your ultimate as well in terms of the execute damage coming through from that. So getting some extra damage early, we know how dangerous Viego can be. He is a carry from the jungle. That's going to affect an awful lot of how AL are going to play. Xiaohu, he's done it a lot on the Lee Sin in regards to his carrying for the team. Can he do it on the Viego in this game?
He's going to be picked off if he goes forward as Chris will get threat line. There's Chains of Corruption out from Betty. That ulti being down, that's a big swing and miss, which just opens up the Herald be started by Weibo.
Dangerous for AL to walk into Herald Pit from red side of the map. Actually, this is the thing which doesn't get talked about an awful lot in League. Geography actually does impact the way you play the game because the Baron Pit kind of opens up so it's easier to retreat when you're on blue side. Approaching from red side against big pick champions like Lee Sin, who's fishing for a Q, doesn't have the flash, of course, so it's a little bit different in that situation. But something like a Nautilus as well, you can't really afford to be stuck in that river in the worst of situations. So AL choosing not to buy into that fight, especially with not any top lane prior to work with as well. Does mean that Herald goes over. That's a big moment for Weibo. Where are they going to use that Herald? Are you going to slam it into the Shy's lane? Are you happy to just leave him building up? Well, yes and no, because if the Quinn is going to win lane anyway, and they want to just bully the Renekton off the wave, just let them do that to the outer tower. It's going down anyway. You're just kind of speeding up its demise. If you can actually throw it somewhere else on the map, maybe that's something that you wouldn't have got over time as well. So Karsa needs to kind of choose carefully. Is actually heading towards top side anyway, just threatening that drop.
Maybe the invade starts it off first. ZDZ's paying respect. Like, he's hovering behind this turret. They know that Karsa's somewhere nearby. Could turn into a dive, but Dominus is available with flash. He could be sketchy. He tries to clear out the wave. ZDZ in 1v2. As the wave is going down, the Shy's is going to try and poke down as Karsa doesn't get too much done. The blinding assault not landing either. As Xiaohu's now up here, but look at the response. This has taken so long.
Yeah, it's taken a long time, and ZDZ still clears out that full wave. It's not like you're dying under turret and losing that wave. They're already looking towards this bot side as well. I'm not sure if they can really dive. They're looking for it.
There's a Solar Flare. Chris goes in first. Depth charge is good. It buys time. There is the ulti as well. The Heartbreaker sets up another as Betty claims the kill credit. Xiaohu burnt his TP, as you said, Nymera, but AL get out with a kill.
It's a little slow from Weibo. AL much more decisive about how they're playing out. Dives on both sides of the map. ZDC knows exactly what's up, plays defensively. Xiaohu is flipped sides of the maps though. Teleported down towards the bot lane, maybe trying to catch out. Someone
There's
like
no cleanse available. I'm just going to throw that in there. There's no cleanse on Betty this game. So if he gets locked down, he's dying.
Yes, but in that case, if you're jumping in as the LeBlanc before first time into also a Leona, it's not like the LeBlanc has plans as well. In that situation, it felt a little bit bold. And That boldness from Weibo on both sides of the map feels a little bit more like overconfidence, and it's lacking a little bit of precision. It's lacking a little bit of that. It's not like they haven't got their advantages to speak of. Top lane matchup going very, very well, but you kind of expect it to. Cull has popped, Kraken's Lair fight on the bot side.
Sordak going in. His team's not here yet. Xiaohao in a bit of trouble. Sonic Wave connects. Is it going to be taken? Caster, are you on a journey? But no, it's re-engaged with DZ, forced to flash out of Caster. They're running for their lives. Xiao gets the other side. Betty has taken down Light now for Caster and Chris. The way out is towards home as Sword Art Zenith Blade still on cooldown with the Solar Flare, seconds up but available. TP back to the top side. AL looking pretty hot in game one.
Yeah, but Weibo are giving them the fights that they want. It's happened a couple of times around bot side. Weibo kind of looking to outplay in 2vx scenarios, and then around that bot side kind of second dragon spawn, Weibo, yeah, maybe they feel a bit of the pressure of, hang on, we don't want them to be stacking all of these early dragons. We've got to fight and do something about it, but they're not calling down the Shy. They're not calling down their teammate to help them out here. And you can see that on the minimap as go into the replay. The Quinn's just not joining this fight, whereas EDC, I think he's been very aware of the game state. Actually very important to notice that he's just here to threaten a play. Is there for a flash stun forwards, and Light misses the memo as well. Betty, great job of catching opposing number out. And Weibo, I just don't know what their setup is for this play. You know you're going into a numbers disadvantage.
I'm just surprised Caster, didn't try to take the cues before the flash and just go for the Hail Mary. Like, instead, the runaway was sad, and for Weibo, as you're saying, plans not coming together. Second Dragon's now given over. Gold might be even, but we talked about this comp drawing you into a neutrals, as now their pick set up yet again. Xiaohao ready to rumble. This level 9 Viego is going to start hurting even more. ZDZ up the top lane. Meanwhile, he's going to get battered down a little bit with the Kraken now completed by the Shy. That's the saving grace at this point here, Nymera. That top lane is going as you'd expected. It's a 30 CS lead, and he was able to get 4 out of 5 bits of turret plating, as he's got about 30 seconds to get the last piece.
Yeah, the real question is, when does that good laning phase become an actual win condition? Because it's annoying now for anyone's legend, but it's not like it's going to lose you the game just being down 30 CS against a ranged top laner. Particularly with someone like a Viego having such high burst threat, you can't really dive into a Syndra particularly easily as well. The Shy's impact for now is going to be on side lanes. As long as the EDZ can just hold the lanes well enough for AL to still play around those objectives that they're now stacking up towards. There's going to be a Cloud Rift as well, which is not the best soul really for this game. Honestly, the Rift is going to be more important for them than the soul itself. It allows them to roam towards a Quinn lane a little quicker through those little swirly speed-up zones, but AL still want to be playing towards those objectives. Just making sure that the Shy doesn't become a real game-ending threat at some point in this game before they're ready to fight.
Well, they're going to be setting up for the bot side. While we do talk about that top lane again, note that the inner side getting pushed in is going to add some pressure in his Light nose. He's just like, dude, I am weak side of the map. I have a Quinn top. They want me. Crisp is coming over with Caster over the wing.
In that bush. He might have got a false flag, yeah.
Ulti, instead of using the cleanse away, so ulti for ulti trade bot.
Yeah, it's the Xayah Leona classic. Leona ultimate, much lower cooldown. Shy is actually flying across the map now. Holding down. Has himself a BO. So we're going to see a Stormrazor second. I was wondering if that was going to be a Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer, Kraken Slayer, very good combo for the champion. Well, for any AD carry, let's be honest. Very good DPS combo. But Stormrazor, I know a lot of people forget that item exists. It's very occasionally built on Jhin. It is actually a Quinn item as well, because you get hit by that little kind of like zap slow. It was very difficult after that point. Actually, on this patch, actually thinking about it, I might be getting baited in by this because there's the dagger in inventory as well. There is actually every chance it is going to be towards an infed to someone like a Bloodthirster, but it's a lot. The flash down. That's actually important to know. If the Syndra's flash is down, the mid-jungle CB2 we've actually not seen too much out of, probably because of the Quinn kind of drawing the attention elsewhere. But just having flash down against these topside skirmishy champions of Weibo is dangerous for PingZ. Maybe that means that they're not feeling confident enough to head towards the second Herald fight.
Well, so it'll just be taken by Weibo in the process. The Shy moves back to his solo lane after sprinting around the map for a little bit, and we'll just have to wait and see, because again, you're right, the BF Swords could be anything with how we talk about second items now for AD carries in general. At least champions that run AD is Xiaohu's on the bottom side. Here. But Betty has the ulti, however, Xiaohu still has his own available to get out. They're committing to this. Xiaohu just wants to clear the way, but is it dangerous? Betting under turret, baited into using his ulti. Away, Sorta gets through Soul Flare there in the end. And just the tip, Betty gets the full range.
Slams on the W, hits the arrow from long range. Doesn't matter if he's poke or not. Betsy, 2-0 and 3. And for a bot lane that has struggled an awful lot in spring, Anyone's Legend 2v2, Betty and Sorda, they're doing pretty well in this first game against one of these upper table teams. Weibo, we knew they could drop games here and there, play to the level of their opponent both up and down in the table, but AL holding them to account so far.
And maybe even topside to punish now as well. The Shy's in a bit of trouble, has to flash away. Scout of the week to get him down as the ulti instead, but he cleanses rather. TP flies through Xiao, who has to cover this top laner, who now is without all summons.
He's without his summoners, but he at least draws Anyone's Legend to his lane. He's going to have to do an awful lot of that if Weibo are going to fall behind on the rest of the map, because the gold is even-ish right now, but when you consider how far ahead the Shy is with a 30 CS lead and the amount of plates, think how far behind the rest of his team is in comparison. True. The Shy has cleared the second item, it is actually going to Stormrazor, so enjoy seeing that item, which we rarely see, I suppose. It's fairly good in the individual matchup if you like it, those kind of things. AL are going to have their mid lane outer turret survive. Dragon is alive third in the game. Talked about that being important for AL. Can they actually fight for this though? The Shy has entered the fight.
Well, he's going to help do this down pretty quickly, at least stop the Dragon stacking. That again was our major highlight for AL here in this game #1. As gold lead is in favor of Weibo Gaming despite not being able to get mid turret. As a good little trade here from Xiao, who they just pop on over, pop out, bit of assassination threat here as AL try and group up now. While you can see Weibo, look how hungry they are for this outer turret. Even in the bottom side, you can say the exact same thing. They want a bigger map for the Shy and for Xiaohu on LeBlanc as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an attack on multiple parts. You take down that mid lane outer turret, much easier to get the vision, which Weibo have currently got actually, into the enemy jungle. It's easier to maintain that because normally you fight from your mid lane outer turret, you defend your vision in your own jungle. You take that down, gives the Shy a much easier time pushing a side lane.
Oh no.
Ult misses in the mid lane.
Swordart does though, goes in, Solar Flare, a bit of a whoopsie, however, as Xiaohu baits it out. Now with the turret down, Swordart has no safety net. And Xiaohu's starting to be a threat. Good scout of the week, but no one to follow up as Weibo open up the map, not only mid, but also bot. And suddenly the gold leads 2,500.
Yeah, and as much as we talk about Anyone's Legend punishing mistakes, holding Weibo to account, oh, is this going to be another kind of like weird roadblock for them?
They're all winning. He doesn't have ulti, and the Shy is dead. You know what? It's not a roadblock. It is. What's the opposite? It's just a road.
It's just a
it's a road open.
I'm not afraid to say this, Hysterics. Weibo confuse me. They scare me in some games as well. Yeah. They're, like, both in terms of their series, in terms of mid-game as well. The Shy, he'd just taken down that bot side turret, just kind of pushing in there. But it feels like a couple of times Weibo just kind of lost the plot of where AL are on the map. Either way, still have themselves in a little bit of a goal now. They've opened up the map. The question is, what are they going to do now this map is open? This is stage 1. Now you need to be able to kind of really just kind of bend their arm backwards, really, see what they can kind of get them into awkward macro states, because the Shy is going to have pushing lanes on a very open map. You haven't lost any of your outer turrets on the top side of the map. You only lost your bot side one. So what can Weibo do with this opportunity? Baron is now alive. Maybe AL can force around some Baron baits at some point in the game. It's a little hard to do that when there's so much mobility to poke them out, though.
Yeah, again, that mobility that's now sitting in the side lane.
This could be really important.
Scout of the week is there, and Unleashed Power caught out with a solo kill from Pinzi.
But you can't afford to make those mistakes. I mean, Weibo, we just said, okay, you've just opened up the map. What do you do next? Very important that you actually use the advantage you have on the map to gain something. Dying on a side lane, it's not it. That is not it. So AL, breath of fresh air for them, gives them some ability to kind of like push out some of these lanes, control some of the map. If they get to take down the top lane outer turret, that'll be a big price to them as well, to kind of have some priority on the top side of the map to stop Weibo maybe threatening around Baron themselves at a certain point. But yeah, Weibo, a couple of mistakes back to back. It's making this game a lot harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, again, Weibo are just a team that you can never look the other way. We talked about it coming into the show today. This team has a huge ceiling, but also sometimes they forget where the bottom of the house is. Don't know how, but honestly, it's like a squishy floor. They sink in, and it's kind of a case of every game. Yeah.
Well,
look,
things I do know
like
that,
every other analogy.
I know in Brisbane, in Australia, they have like houses effectively on stilts, right? Because of the amount of flooding that happens there. So I mean, like if there is a variable house bottom, maybe that's understandable. Not really sure where this analogy goes, but if you're losing track of the bottom of your house. Yeah, I went out there a number of years ago.
I live in Australia.
Yeah,
I probably should know that. I feel like I've heard that before.
You see, that's why I'm the color caster here. You know, I just bring knowledge.
Hey.
I forgot to like limit it to League of Legends, and sadly now I have facts about things which are completely useless outside of very rare scenarios. But hey, at least you know where the bottom of the house is now.
True.
End story. Where do you want to go next from this?
Well, I will say it does flood a lot in Brisbane, and I'll also be honest. Australian weather right now is pretty cooked. If anyone's living in New South Wales, in particularly like myself, props to you guys for surviving it out. As like Xiaohu, he's pretty much gone through a reign of terror. It's been flooding, it's been storming every 2 seconds. You know, Kitty and I casting together, it's like, well, this cast is probably going down the drain, much of the storm water. But look, Xiaohu's kind of in the same spot. This game, he's been the target of many dangerous things, as they're just launching everything at the side lane because they're not touching the Quinn. Because again, the Shy's just sitting there with a 70 CS lead.
Oh, Betty might be in trouble here. I was wondering if there's going to be a flash kick threat. As both these teams, in fairness, they haven't shied away from opportunities as they've kind of presented themselves. They have actually been trying to find those picks. And we're getting to the point now, actually, where particularly Kingsy's Syndra comboed up with the the Leona for the pick attempts can be very important to see. Weibo should see that teleport coming in. It's on the pink board. Dragon is live, of course. Xiaohu's going to match. 5v5 setting up on the bot side.
But the Shy is one I'm going to watch, because even though he has deals 2.5 items strong Quinn that can deal with ZDZ if he comes in solo, but AL now grouping up, bunched up, and this third dragon for them would lead to the soul as Xiaohu's setting up on the pin Z. Good damage on the wing here as at 8k.
Watch for the pick CC. 1 kill seat leads to those resets. That is the win condition for AL.
That's the scat of the week then. I'll look for McCullough. Oh, it's a 2-man. It's great. They're clumped up now as Xiaohu jumps in. And Betty is just going to die. Chris is the response as well. But look at the Shy here onto the Renekton. Can he kill him? Xiaohu has all in. And now the Shy can take his pick. Look at the Harrier go. The blinding assault, but cleanses away from scat of the week. The Shy now looking. All he needs is 1 volt. And Xiaohu's a dead man. But that Quinn that did 3,500 damage in that last fight makes it so they can't re-enter.
Yeah, the HP bars are too low. Xiaohu's stunned up, but not going to be threatened at that point. Teleport back in. This should secure AL. The Dragon is hard fought for, but again, that first kill makes things so difficult. And the Shy gonna have to fly his way out of here.
He's out. Surely Sword Art won't get this. Sidestep. Oh, the Shy. Okay, all right, mate. Settle down. Clap, clap, clap.
First Quinn game globally of the year. Return to it for the Shy as one of historic champions, and he's at least putting some fancy footwork in. Actually has 0 kill participation so far, but he's still defining the game in large parts.
As I just want to point out that AL committed to TP, weren't able to get the pick, committed all that time, and then Weibo Gaming able to get the reset here, Nymera, and they're actually just going to get second dragon.
I actually wonder if going towards the Shy on that bot side, I actually wonder if that's kind of like a big brain move from him himself, because it means that they chase instead of going towards that dragon. This is the fight, of course. Betty taken off the table very, very quickly. One of the reasons that you go for on-hit Varus is getting the shield bow to get some extra survivability. It's not enough in this case. But on the backside, Weibo just enough extra HP to stop Xiaohu from resetting on that Viego. As soon as that first kill went down, I was really worried for what was going to happen to Weibo and the rest of that fight. But credit to them for managing to peel back. And now we're back onto the Baron. Big objective fight.
Ooh, okay, well, this might be a little bit dangerous. However, that's a 2-item Varus that's just hitting away. ZDZ getting poked out on the side before he enters Spiders. The Shy going to do exactly that. Great dredge line. Look at the 80 carry go. The knock-up, beautiful Chris. Might die for it though and give away reset as the depth charge was used before he died. However, now there's another Nautilus to worry about. The dredge line sent out and forcing a flash from Xiaohu. It's a 1-for-1 with top versus support.
Gosh, you can see AL, it is all about objectives. They don't have a soul point to fight for now. They lost 2 dragons in a row, so they need to find something around the Baron. That's the easy way for them. But Weibo, they're toying with them now. They've managed to peel them off that Baron. The immediate threat of AL securing a big objective is gone. They get to move back onto the map. And now because they failed that Baron bait, the Shy gets to go back to a side lane. He's at 2.5 items now. Not actually sure what he's completing with the Zeal in inventory as well. He stopped off with the Last Whisper, so he's probably... I wonder if he's going to go towards... I mean, I would imagine he has the cut down ring because he started the cult, so maybe goes and doubles down on that, goes to Giant Slayer, his 3rd item. Might, of course, go towards a Vault Reminder as well. That has % pen on it as well nowadays.
Let's see if that LDR does come through. Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, good luck, Renekton. Good luck. Sorry,
Yeah.
CDZ. Your game is not about surviving the Quinn now. It is just trying to get some semblance of value in team fights. See in the last fight, he literally just flashes in and just immediately dies.
And look,
not an easy game for Renekton.
Let's be real. We know that deal's probably going to be something like a rapid fire cannon as well.
Yeah.
If we're going by that, just to be a bit more of a nuisance. He's level 16. That means Valor is going to be so much faster as well. Hits the side lane, no one's there. They're hitting Baron Nymera, but look, he's just been left to his wayside. There's 5 members here.
Yeah, but
the
look how
Shy
quickly
like...
Quinn roams. You don't have the teleport, but max rank your ult means you can respond so quickly. They can't finish this before it gets it.
It's a movement speed from level 16 as he comes in. Pins, he's going to be kicked. Launch into the Shy. There's the vault. Jumps in. Scout of the Week doesn't work out. The good pick here is Xiao. Jumps to his death. Valor to me again as Caster picks up the double, but now ZDZ is stuck in the middle with you and he doesn't know what he thinks he should do.
They're going to get chased down as well.
Breathe as AL right now, as you mentioned. The Shy's coming. Uh-oh, Spinunio. Change corruption, cleansed out. Better play Vault, and he's dead. Good on the Shy for dying just like he should.
Classic, the Shy. But it is actually the Shy which is so crucial in this Baron fight in the first place, because he hits the max rank of his ultimate. Every time you rank up in the behind enemy lines, get extra move speed when you're out of combat. So they try and go back towards this Baron. The last time it at least managed to pull Weibo towards them, but it's not quick enough. It's not quite there in terms of the Baron DPS. They look for the turn, but by that point, Caster's picked someone up on the side. The fight's falling to pieces, and the extra mobility from Weibo gives them the extra ability to kind of split up AL and put them down into the dirt. AL, credit for them for realizing that the objectives are where they need to force Weibo to.
Love this.
Just
my favorite.
those minute execution bits and working out for them in this case.
You know what? Like, no one else would try. The fact that the Shy died there, who cares? It's always, and this is the thing, people watch and, you know, I'll always say, oh, the Shy, what are you doing? You crazy man. But the Shy is someone who takes risks. You gotta love him at his worst.
Oh, really?
Like you love him at
Didn't
his
know he
best.
was known for that.
No. Obviously, by now, the global audience is cued in, but he might be 1, 2, and 3. But let's be real. Even though we like talking about the Shy on this broadcast, this game has been about this Quinn. I mean, Xiaohu as well has been really good in the pickoffs. Weibo haven't started this game cleanly, and Nymera, we saw AL punish them time and time again. But these side lane advantages, their ability to play through this Quinn, and even Light to just keep on trucking in this game, considering that he was in the weak side of the map, kind of what made Weibo a bit of a threat that wasn't an obvious threat on our screen during the early game.
I'll show you in a safe spot there.
No, he's not. Vault follows through the flash as well. Good sidestep from Might Shy. This pigeon is a nuisance.
He is more than a nuisance. He is a game-ending threat at this point. You can't leave side lanes alone in Fog of War. This Syndra cannot afford to stand alone, and this continues on what is actually a fairly impressive 1-3-1 after those early stumbles. Not many teams have gone towards such heavy 1-3-1 setups as compositions. Weibo bring out something fairly new in terms of flavor for this season, and the Shy flaps his way towards mid, carries it on his way towards bot lane, and AL, singular mistakes like that, leaving someone dead and not able to wave clear, they can very much lose the game, especially now Baron Bucks has been picked up.
I mean, Nymera, I'm looking at it because of the 3-wave setup here from Weibo Gaming. Mid, bot, top. Looks like it will be crashing similarly in timing here as the Shy steps up. And now look at this. Pokes down. He's got a Phantom Dancer now with 4 items. ZDZ walked up. A Sonic Wave from Caster is going to be taken ambitiously so. The Shy gives him someone to safeguard too, and that just adds a bit of pressure, but takes away an ulti.
And while all these 3 waves are happening, next Dragon spawn, which Weibo can obviously just send Quinn to if they really want. Quinn can very much solo that at this point in the game. Xiaohu just needs to be safe on the side lanes. He's picked off a little bit earlier into the game, but as soon as he's kind of hit this recent phase of play, it's been very hard to get a hold of. And now AL are in a position where they don't have the vision control to make the picks which were keeping them in the game earlier. As soon as they failed to get that Baron and then it went up towards Weibo, this game got infinitely harder to play around. Given the red buff over to the Quinn as well, as if the Storm Razor slow wasn't enough to get that permanent burn and slow.
Hang on, Nymera. What do you mean giving over? He takes it. Bro, he didn't ask. The Shy just put my blue buff. You know, he's taking enemy blue buff as well.
It's like when you train a Pokemon to such a high level that it no longer listens to you. The Shy goes he's like, oh, I think we should go towards this gym. No, we are going this way. What? But I'm the trainer. You are nothing. The Shy flies top lane.
So that might be caught out here. There's Sonic Wave going to connect, and Carson ready to go in. The burst from Xiaohu immense. He dives down the Shy on a flank. Look at him go, the blinding assault. Betty doesn't know where he's coming from. The pigeon in public that did its dirty business on you. That's the feeling. You're embarrassed, you're distraught. Get this bird away from me.
Comes in like a hurricane, blows anyone's legend away to the winds, and the Shy first global Quinn of the year, picking up one of his rare games on the champion. We haven't seen a number of...
Help me! Oh my God, he
just
Viego. Float down! Flashes over the wall, but guess what? He's coming! He's coming! Run away!
You can't run!
Oh my God! He's dead! Xiao's gonna finish the job, he's burning down! The Shy didn't even burn the flash, but Xiao, all it takes is one. And this game is over in style. Our first Quinn of the year. The Shy brings it out. And boy, does he bring the class out alongside it.
Weibo continued to confuse me and excite me in ways I didn't quite know were possible. The early game felt like there were a couple of mistakes coming through to where Weibo were fighting some things on the bot side of the map that maybe they shouldn't have done, making a couple of mistakes in side lanes. But as soon as they hit the point where they had their 1-3-1 set up, they looked clean. And they looked clean in a way which we've not really seen from a lot of teams on this patch. Not for a while, actually. 1-3-1ing in League of Legends is, I'm not going to say it's a lost art form, but it's definitely more niche. But Weibo, looking pretty good with it.
They're looking great. I don't know. It wasn't a great game. It was just so entertaining and rife with amusement, considering that it was messy from them in the early game. You know, the Shy kept farming away. He was a nuisance from start to finish. But look, that man has great games like that. And even Xiaohu needs to be rewarded, right? I think Karsa, later game, needs to be rewarded too, despite having a bit of a blunder earlier on. I feel like this team has a lot of mojo, as Munchables would put it, and it's very fair that
good word for it.
The individual skill, took over when AL started to dampen and started to get a little bit lost through the mid-game.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be one of the big differences between these two teams, because we saw